A nation shrouded in secrecy, North Korea has been under the rule of the Kim family for several decades, and it remains the most isolated country in the world today. With cult-like beliefs and some of the most inhumane and brutal punishments, these are the darkest secrets of North Korea, which will leave you grateful for not being there. Number 1. Labor camps. For years, North Korea has denied the existence of political prison camps, but statements from people who fled the state and satellite images show not only are they real, but they are also growing in size every year. So what are these prison camps? To put it simply, if hell exists, it's probably something like these camps. They are designed to prevent citizens from revolting against the regime. Situated in inaccessible locations, it is estimated that North Korea has around 16,000 of these camps. The people kept in custody are mostly political prisoners who have conflicting views with the government and are sentenced to life. Those in for petty crimes are usually sentenced for a few years, but many don't survive long enough to complete their sentences due to the brutal conditions. Survivors describe being treated like animals, forced to work, and starved of food. These aren't normal prisons meant to rehabilitate people or ensure public safety by detaining criminals. They are designed to isolate people from society and make them suffer enough that they never dare to think or speak out against the supreme leader. Most prisoners serve without ever having a chance to appear in a judicial trial. It is reported that larger facilities have hundreds of thousands of prisoners at any given time, while smaller ones hold more than 50,000. Most of these camps are located in central and northeastern North Korea, nestled in mountainous areas secured by barbed wire and guards, making escape nearly impossible. Number 2. Fatal disrespect. On April 30, 2015, Hyun Yong-chol, who was the defense minister of North Korea at that time, was charged with a sentence that claimed his life. You might think it was for some heinous crime, right? Nope. This man was executed simply for dozing off during a meeting where Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un was present. In North Korea, sleeping or even sitting with bad posture in the presence of Kim Jong-un can be a fatal mistake, as it's seen as a sign of disrespect. What's even more terrifying is that Hyun wasn't just any ordinary citizen. He was a powerful figure who had served in the military for nearly 5 decades and was frequently seen alongside Kim Jong-un. Despite his status, he was publicly executed with an anti-aircraft gun, a shocking display of power, and the extreme rules enforced by North Korea's supreme leader. This was not a one-time thing. A year later, Kim Yong-jin, a vice premier for education, was found sitting with a bad posture and falling asleep just below the rostrum during a meeting led by Kim Jong-un. He was immediately arrested by government officials. After interrogation, they labeled the minister as an anti-party, anti-revolutionary agitator and sentenced him to death. So next time your boss overreacts when you nod off during a meeting, just be thankful you are not in North Korea. Number 3. Child labor. North Korea, a nation cut off from the world and surrounded in secrecy, has a well-documented history of egregious human rights violations. One such violation came to light when a human rights group leaked a video showing child labor in North Korea. In the video, young children who should be in school and enjoying carefree lives are seen working hard under the scorching sun. While Kim Jong-un lives a life of luxury, making appearances at high-level events with his young daughter, these children are forced into backbreaking work, losing their chance at a happy childhood. The secretly captured video shows a young boy, covered in dust, breaking rocks alongside many other children, carrying heavy blocks of sandstone in sacks. Shockingly, they are doing this as part of their school activities, with a teacher supervising from a distance, ordering dozens of children to use axes and hammers to fix railway tracks. This kind of work is not only dangerous for the physical development of these children, but also detrimental to their mental health and education. Yet, the North Korean regime seems indifferent to their suffering. It's truly heartbreaking. Number 4. Traffic police. If you ever visit North Korea, one thing that's sure to catch your eye is the traffic ladies in the nation's capital. These young, strikingly beautiful women, with their well-choreographed movements that make them look almost robotic, are stationed throughout Pyongyang at various intersections. But they are not just there to direct traffic, they are there to put on a charming image of the country. These women must meet basic requirements like a certain height and 20 by 20 vision, which seems reasonable for traffic officers. However, they also need to be pretty with flawless physiques. While beauty is subjective, in a traditionalist nation like North Korea, you can be rejected from a job simply because you aren't considered attractive enough. These traffic ladies start their careers as young as 17, right after finishing school, and must retire by the age of 26. And if one of them decides to get married, that means automatic retirement too. Although cars are now more common in the capital, back in the 1980s, these women directed non-existent traffic with the same precision and energy. An interview with one of these traffic ladies shows the extent of the regime's influence on these young women. She mentioned that her motivation to keep working is the supreme leader, who she believes tirelessly works for them all year long. Whether she truly feels that way or is just trying to stay safe, who knows? Number 5. Black market. A North Korean defector brought back shocking footage of Jangmadang, a type of black market in a central North Korean city. When you hear black market, you might think of highly illegal substances and sketchy people. But this market is different. Local farmers come here to trade food which is illegal in North Korea, families gather to eat, and lost children search for leftovers to survive. This video, filmed in 1998 during the North Korean famine, captures a haunting period of mass starvation and economic crisis from 1994 to 1999. One kid, wearing dirty clothes and only one shoe, is recorded sucking on a fishbone with no meat left on it. While their dear leader lives fat and happy, more than 2 decades after this video was recorded, starvation still claims lives in North Korea. Number 6. Laughing ban. On December 17, 2011, North Korea's former supreme leader passed away from a cardiac arrest. Since then, every year starting December 17, North Korea observes a mourning period of 10 days. In 2021, marking the 10th anniversary, they extended it by an extra day. Sounds manageable, right? Well, just wait until you hear what's banned during this mourning period. First off, no laughing. Citizens aren't allowed to laugh, enjoy themselves, or have any kind of good time. If your birthday falls during this period, forget about celebrating. Drinking is also off limits. No alcohol is allowed during the mourning period, and on the exact anniversary of the leader's death, you can't even go grocery shopping. Here's another bizarre rule. You can't mourn for anyone else. If someone in your family passes away during this time, you are not allowed to cry out loud and can only hold a funeral after the mourning period is over. If one breaks any of these rules, they are arrested and treated as an ideological criminal, often disappearing without a trace. Number 7. Daring escape. Did you know that every year thousands of people defect from North Korea? Given the increasing poverty and absurd state rules, it's not surprising. One of these daring escapes was caught on footage on November 13, 2017. The video shows a green Jeep speeding toward the North Korean guard post, not stopping, and heading straight for the border. This vehicle, driven by a North Korean soldier, was attempting to escape to South Korea from a joint security area. The last escape from this region had happened over 10 years prior. Just as the Jeep neared the border, it got stuck in a ditch, and other North Korean soldiers rushed toward it with their guns drawn. The soldiers opened fire, but the determined man kept running, crossing the border with bullets still following him. A soldier decided to chase after him, but quickly turned back after a few steps on South Korean soil as that would breach the agreement between the two nations. Severely injured, the defector lay just meters away from the border on the South Korean side. South Korean soldiers crawled to him to avoid bullets from the other side and dragged him to safety. This man, later identified as Oh Chong-song, was an industrial engineer in North Korea and the son of a North Korean major general. In the hospital, doctors treating him for his bullet wounds also found large parasitic worms in his intestines. Oh survived his injuries and was treated for the worms. He later made numerous TV appearances sharing his experiences. Number 8. Cheerleading. Recently, to legitimize their brutal regime and make positive headlines, North Korea has been showcasing its Army of Beauties. These cheerleaders grabbed the world's attention during the 2018 Winter Olympics with their highly synchronized performances and cheering. Looks amusing at first glance, but it becomes disturbing when you realize what goes on behind the scenes. At that event, North Korea sent only 22 athletes, but more than 200 cheerleaders. Unlike normal fans who voluntarily support their team, these cheerleaders are forced by the government. Alongside their routine training, they undergo mental conditioning to avoid getting surprised or shocked watching the outside world, and to constantly think about their homeland. While abroad, these cheerleaders are under strict supervision at all times. Knowing their families back home might suffer if they try to escape leaves them with no option other than to stick together and put on a happy face. Number 9. Starvation. Back in 2010, an undercover reporter conducting interviews in South Pyongan province came across a 23-year-old woman whose story would later have a significant impact when the video was smuggled out of North Korea and surfaced online. Malnourished, the young woman was so weak that she could barely speak, and the reporter was unable to catch her name. It's impossible not to feel sympathy for her when the reporter asks what she eats, and she responds, "Nothing." Starvation is a huge problem in North Korea. This woman's story is just one of hundreds of thousands in North Korea, where people die annually from starvation, highlighting the severe poverty engulfing the real lives of North Koreans. And due to North Korea's strict policies that prevent foreign help, these people have no hope. Number 10. Waste battle. You have probably heard the saying, "One man's trash is another man's treasure," but in North Korea, one person's waste can literally become someone else's treasure. The increasing poverty in North Korea has forced farmers to fertilize farmland using human waste, and the government imposed a quota on people to submit manure made from human waste and soil each January. When collection time rolls around, desperate people go hunting for poop, sometimes even stealing it from others. If a family can't produce enough manure, they may try to buy it from ranchers. However, the poor, who already have no money and want to avoid fines or arrest, often resort to stealing human waste from other households to meet the quotas. Imagine how messed up a country has to be where people fight over human waste. Number 11. Three-generation punishment. The darkest aspect of life in North Korea is a punishment inflicted on people who didn't even commit a crime, the three-generation punishment. It is exactly what it sounds like. Why would someone get this kind of punishment? Simply because the government thinks they are against them. North Korean authorities believe that a person loyal to the regime will have a supportive family. Conversely, if anyone in the family has differing views from what the government imposes, they assume the entire family, including future generations, will share those negative perspectives. As a result, they throw entire families into horrifying prison camps, where the only way out is death. Children born in these camps never know the outside world. From a young age, they endure forced labor, torture, and beatings. Around the world, even the most heinous crimes don't receive this type of punishment. But North Korea is different, right? For simple acts like possessing a DVD of a non-approved movie or trying to learn about other cultures, one can be labeled a traitor and suffer for the rest of their lives, along with their future generations. This explains why we see North Koreans always praising their leaders, and also that acts of crying hysterically at the death of a supreme leader, if they don't, they risk being considered traitors, and that's the last thing you want to be in North Korea. This also applies to defectors. If their attempt to escape fails, they know they will never get another chance at a better life. And if that wasn't absurd enough, if a house catches fire, people are expected to save all pictures of the leaders. Failing to do so is considered disrespect, and it can land them in these harsh prisons. While the rule of collective punishment is part of dark history for most nations, in the 21st century, it continues to exist in North Korea, instilling fear among its citizens and causing thousands to suffer. Number 12. First Lady. Being the First Lady of a nation sounds like an impressive title to have, but if you are married to North Korea's supreme leader, it comes with a lot of strict rules. Let's take a look at the extreme things Kim Jong-un's wife, Ri Sol-ju, has to face. There are reports that she didn't choose Kim Jong-un, but was actually forced to marry him upon the order of his father, the former dictator. I mean, if the dictator ordered it, I don't think refusing it would be an option. However, that is only the beginning. The story doesn't finish there. Nobody knows her real birth name or when she was born, as her name was changed upon marrying Kim Jong-un, and her history was erased. After becoming First Lady, she wasn't allowed to meet anyone from her family anymore. Despite coming from an elite family, her mother a senior doctor and her father a professor, she never saw them again. After giving birth to her first daughter, people noticed her hairstyle never changed. That's because everything, from her dressing style to her hairstyle, is dictated by her husband's approval. One can search the internet extensively, but it is nearly impossible to find videos or pictures of Ri Sol-ju alone after marrying the supreme leader. She is not allowed to appear in public on her own or engage in any public events or philanthropic works, which is quite common for first ladies in other countries. Additionally, taking her picture or video requires direct permission from Kim Jong-un. Before her marriage, she traveled outside North Korea to study in China, and there are reports that she was even part of the North Korean cheerleading group. But now, she is not allowed to step outside North Korea except for some high-level funerals, and only if her husband is with her. So, being the wife of a nation's leader doesn't sound as much fun now, does it? Number 13. Bibles. In North Korea, children are brainwashed in schools to idolize their supreme leaders, with propaganda even claiming that the leaders created their race. These lies contradict the beliefs of major religions worldwide, so North Korea bans the Bible and any other unapproved literature that promotes the worship of one God. They have their own version of the Bible that favors the regime, and tourists are strictly prohibited from bringing Bibles into the country, even for personal use. Anyone who practices religion must do so in secrecy or risk up to 15 years in labor camps. Practicing Christian defectors have been using balloons to send thousands of Bibles into North Korea, hoping to expose people to the actual literature. However, their efforts often fail as the North Korean government ensures these flying packages are intercepted and dealt with. Number 14. Songbun. In North Korea, everything from education and career opportunities to food rations and housing depends on one major factor: an individual's and their family's political loyalty to the supreme leader. This system is known as Songbun, which categorizes people based on their family's history of loyalty to the regime. Based on this system, all North Koreans are divided into three main classes. Core class. This top tier enjoys the best access to education, jobs, healthcare, and food. It includes descendants of the Kim family, revolutionaries who fought against Japanese occupation, and high-ranking officials. The second class is known as wavering, which includes people who have opportunities but are not as good as the core class. Their status can fluctuate based on their actions or those of their relatives. So if you ever come across people from this class, you will find them exaggerating their praise for the regime in an attempt to maintain or improve their social status. Deemed the most politically unreliable, the last class is known as hostile. It includes families of defectors, those with relatives who criticize the regime, or families who collaborated with Japanese or South Koreans. For them, the whole country is a prison, and they face discrimination in every aspect of life. It's absurd that a person's salary and societal worth aren't based on their capabilities, but on their ancestors' and families' actions. Just imagine how many brilliant minds they might have lost simply because they weren't part of the elite class. Number 15. Army. In most parts of the world, teenagers graduating high school think about career options and what to do next in life. But in North Korea, they don't really have a choice. Once you turn 17, you go straight into the army, serving for 10 years if you are a man and 7 years if you are a woman. Not only are they forced to serve, but what they face is even more horrible. These young soldiers live in overcrowded dorms with poor ventilation, limited furniture, and a lack of basic amenities like running water or heating. During their service, they receive controlled rations and poor quality food, which often leads to malnutrition and disease outbreaks. While North Korean propaganda videos show the best of their army, the reality is far from pleasant. Training extends beyond military drills to include farming and manual labor to supplement their meager food supplies. The social class system also affects how soldiers are treated during their service, with those from the core class receiving better treatment than those from the hostile class. If you are thinking there might be some pros of serving in the military, such that they might enjoy army benefits like in other countries, think again. North Korean soldiers earn very little and have no healthcare privileges. If a soldier loses their life on duty, there is no compensation for the family, just a piece of paper, or as they call it, a certificate. Number 16. Hairstyles. Did you notice that no North Korean men have long hair, not even long enough to cover their ears? That's because they are not allowed to. North Korea enforces strict regulations on hairstyles, with only 10 approved styles for men and 18 for women. The explanation for this restriction is to ensure their citizens look tidy. Women, too, can't grow their hair as long as they want. They must keep it short according to state-approved lengths. Single women are allowed slightly longer hair than married women. So, on top of all the other rules, North Korea also robs its citizens of the freedom to express themselves through their hairstyles. Number 17. 3 channels. By the 1950s, developed countries already had a few dozen TV channels, but in North Korea, up until 2015, there were only 3 channels, and we don't think the number is much higher now. They have just introduced one more channel to broadcast sports events, and that's mostly on weekends. All of these channels are state-controlled. For news, there is only one channel, so you don't have to make a choice. One of the remaining 2 focuses on cultural programming and entertainment, while the other covers educational content and documentaries. Did I mention that wearing blue jeans is illegal in North Korea? The government controls the media so strictly that when they aired the BBC show Garden Secrets, which even the BBC doesn't know how they got, the North Korean media actually censored the blue denim, treating it as if it was some kind of obscene thing to wear. So, while most of the world enjoys a plethora of channels and fashion choices, North Koreans live under severe restrictions on what they can watch and wear. Number 18. Tourism nightmare. Although these facts about North Korea might make most of us appreciate our freedom and feel content staying where we are, some people still find it intriguing to get a first-hand look at this isolated nation. Fortunately for them, North Korea does allow tourism, but with a heavy set of rules. When tourists are preparing to visit, they are advised not to bring any religious or political items. Anything displaying adultery is also prohibited. You have to inform the authorities about all the books or literature you are carrying, as well as the electronic devices. Once there, tourists can only travel with their tour guides. Talking to local North Koreans without permission is considered spying, and it's illegal to take pictures of anything other than tourist sites. You can't photograph construction sites or anything that doesn't look pretty. Making jokes about their current or former supreme leaders is forbidden, and you must bow down to their statues just like the locals. If you want to take pictures of the statues, they must be full length from head to toe. No half pictures allowed. And even if you follow all these rules, you are still not completely safe from being arrested or expelled. Number 19. Juche calendar. The Gregorian calendar, used in most parts of the world, is tied to the birth year of Jesus Christ. In North Korea, where the supreme leaders are given demigod status, they have their own calendar system called the Juche calendar. This calendar begins with the birth year of the founder and first supreme leader of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, which is 1912. All North Korean newspapers, news agencies, radio stations, public transport systems, and even birth certificates have incorporated the use of Juche years since 1997. So while you are living in the 21st century, North Koreans are still in the 2nd century according to their calendar. Although their New Year celebrations show the same number as the Gregorian year, all published calendars prominently feature the Juche year. Some might include the Gregorian year alongside it, but the Juche year is always present. Number 20. Elections. The most controlled state with no freedom is officially called the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The irony. No country can be democratic without elections, right? So North Korea does have elections every 4 years, and everyone over 18 must vote, making voter turnout always 100%. Videos of people queuing up to cast their votes might make the unaware think North Korea has a proper democracy where people have the right to choose their representatives and leaders. But it's nothing like that. These elections are just for show. When people go to vote, they don't choose between different candidates because there's only one person standing. The choice people have to make is whether they want that person to win yes or no. And you can guess no has never won. Historically, they have been used to restrict internal movement, track people who might have left their local area without permission, and fool the populace into believing the regime is trying to improve. These elections have a predetermined result, with regime-backed candidates always getting more than 99% yes votes. That's a wrap on our journey through the terrifying secrets of North Korea. Which of these facts did you find most horrifying, and what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below. Unlike North Koreans who won't have access to this video anytime soon, you can smash the like button and hit subscribe. So don't wait. Also, hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload videos just for you. Until next time, goodbye.